seen this yet.
You're from Canada?
No, I'm in San Luis Obispo up north.
Well, you got an accent. What's that accent?
My family's from Texas.
Texas. Okay. So what's your ethnicity?
I'm Irish and Scottish.
Irish and Scottish. Okay. So pretty much what we're teaching up here is that, are you religious as well?
I believe there is a God.
There is a God. Is there a book that references the God that you believe in?
I read the Holy Bible.
The Holy Bible. So when you say you believe there is a God, come on, bro, come on. When you say you believe there is a God, is it the God of the Bible, the God of the Quran, the God of the Book of the Dead, the God of Egyptology?
The book of God, the Holy Bible.
The Holy Bible. Okay, okay. So you believe that you have a Lord and Savior?
I believe so.
What's his name?
Jesus.
Jesus? Okay. So where in the Bible, do you read it, or is this something you casually believe in?
I only read it when I can. For work.
Okay, okay. What do you do for work?
I work today. I cut down trees.
Cut down trees?
With
Okay.
fuel reduction.
Okay,
Fires.
okay. So pretty much what we're doing up here is teaching our people that the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the real Israelites according to the Bible.
Right.
You know about the Israelites, the chosen people of Israel?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you have to ask yourself, if we're saying we're Israelites, then who are them white people saying they're Israelites?
I don't know. I never met him.
Well, you see them on TV,
I see him on TV, but I don't know much about him.
you hear about them. Okay, so who's lying here? Somebody has to be lying. It's either us or them.
I think there's liars on either side.
You say what?
I think there's liars everywhere I go.
Okay, so how do you prove who God's chosen people are according to the Bible?
I don't have the answer to that because I don't know myself.
Well, I'll prove it to you.
Go ahead.
What this brother just brought out earlier. Give me Deuteronomy 28:68. Let me get you to get it. Actually, give me Deuteronomy 28:68, and you get Lamentation 4:10. Go ahead.
Con, Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28.
So, are you familiar with world history at all?
History is one of my favorite subjects.
Oh, good, great. Okay, so what about geography?
I'm all right with this.
Okay, so is there any history of those white people being taken as slaves across the world in ships?
The only people I know about that were the Irish in the Middle East.
The Irish in the Middle East.
And the men that are British Sultan Irish here, the United States men who worked in the Middle East.
Okay, those are the only people that were put on ships.
That's all I know.
Okay, so are you familiar with the transatlantic slave trade?
Yes, sir.
Okay, were those people put on ships to come over to the Americas to serve hardcore bondage? Okay, how many people would you say the Irish, somebody fact check that. What was that? What?
Irish?
Yeah, what was that, what was it called? This was called the transatlantic slave trade. What was that called when the Irish was taken on ships?
I'll tell you right now.
I want to fact check that real quick. He's gonna say it.
Are you talking about when the Irish came here?
To Georgia, yeah.
Came to Georgia? No, they fled. They voluntarily came over.
No, that was during the Civil War. Hold on.
Yeah, let's look that up, because if you're Irish and Scottish, then y'all still had something to do with the transatlantic slave trade.
Bring it out.
Okay, yeah. Bring that out. So,
The Irish trade slaves?
the Irish slave trade?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's bring out your source and we'll bring out our source. Hard to find, huh? Somebody look up transatlantic slave trade and see how many sources you
I got
get.
one source that says that there was actual slave trade. That's global research.
Global researchers?
Too many sources saying it's a myth.
It's a myth? Okay. So when you deal with the court of law, like Larry the lawyer, right? It's about what case has more evidence, right? Larry, the guy that just was up here, but he's a retired lawyer, right? But when you deal with the court of law and proving things, you deal with who has the most empirical evidence, right?
Yes, sir.
So there's a lot of sources that saying that they didn't come over here as slaves. They came over here voluntarily, like he said, as indentured servants. You know what indentured servant is?
I think I might.
The indentured servant is where they sign a contract to come over here and work for 7 years, and then they get let go to go back to Ireland or to live amongst the Americans. Go ahead.
listen.
Go ahead.
This is a difference.
Go ahead.
With what this brother's talking about, and then the case that you bring up, because it's a contract, and at the end of it, they were given what they call freedom dues, right? Which is way more. Matter of fact, it's more in general because we were never given anything. I'm gonna show you, right? So it says, indentures agreed to provide up to 7 years of labor in return for passage to the New World and food, housing, and shelter during their indenture. At the end of this period, their masters were legally required to grant them freedom dues in the form of either land or capital. The so-called Negroes didn't have that at all.
So pretty much your forefathers, right? The Irish and the Scots, right? So you should be actually thanking the British for removing you guys from the persecution that you were facing in your home country and giving you the opportunity to come over here to stolen land.
Well, personally, I don't really like the British.
But did they not provide a new way of life for the Irish and the Scottish over here in what they would call the free world or the new world? That really should be called the stolen world.
Right.
Yes, you're right.
So even if you say that you guys didn't have anything, some people say the Irish and the Scots didn't have anything to do with the transatlantic slave trade. Well, you're still benefiting from it because you guys were able to come here and flee from whatever persecution you were going through in your own particular homeland. So when you look at the Deuteronomy 28 and 68, what you got that? Go ahead, bring that out. I'm gonna show you that the Irish, a lot of them were indentured servants. Like you said, you get work and then you get let go, which we had to do 400 years, for 430 actually, from 1441 to 1865, 430 years, roughly, right? Y'all only had to do 7 years and then you were let free. So that doesn't equate, that's a false equivalence to the slave trade that the blacks and Hispanics and Native Americans had to endure. So, and then you guys also partook in the transatlantic slave trade as well. Go ahead.
In the Ireland history.
So you helped enslave black people. Go ahead.
In the Ireland History magazine, it says it was the Stuarts who introduced the Irish to the slave trade. Charles II returned to the throne in 1660 at a time when it was becoming clear that sugar plantations were as valuable as gold mines.
Right, so when you guys seen that the sugar plantations had the economies booming in these prospective so-called European countries, you guys wanted to be a part of it. Then you started getting slaves and taking them back to whatever estates you guys had and having them work in the sugar plantations. So you're a direct result and cause, actually, of the transatlantic slave trade. Yeah. So how do you feel about that? Okay.
But if it's true, it's true.
So what are you going to do to fix that as an individual?
I can't fix history. I just have to learn about history, the true history, not the fake history.
Okay. So when you deal with justice, does justice have an expiration date on it?
I don't think so.
Okay, so how can we get our justice for what you guys did to us?
Because I don't know.
You don't know. Have you ever heard of an eye for an eye? And a tooth for a tooth? And a life for a life? And a head for a head? So that's what we're up here looking for. We're looking for God to recompense those who put us in tribulation. Somebody get that. Give me Revelation 13:10. You keep looking at your watch. You gotta go.
I have to meet someone.
Okay, let me give you a couple of scriptures so you can.
I got Revelations.
Revelation 13:10. Go ahead.
Book of Revelation, chapter 13. We'll start at verse 9.
This is Revelation. This is the last book of the Bible. Go ahead.
Verse 10. He that leadeth into captivity
Those that led us into captivity, go ahead,
shall go into captivity.
shall go into captivity. So this is a thing called karma. I always like to tell people we can close this book and we can just deal with karma. You reap what you sow. So have we seen the white people, the Caucasians that put us in slavery, go into slavery themselves? Because that is a prophecy in the last book of the Bible.
So I have not.
You're a historian, right?
Love history.
You love history. You're an aspiring historian. We haven't seen that. I love history myself. I haven't seen white people as a whole and collectively get paid for what they did. I haven't even seen them give us reparations. Not so much to say, okay, you can't take us into slavery, but here's your reparations. Here's your land back. Here's all your natural resources back. How about this? How about I destroy that Constitution that says you're only 3/5 of a man? How about I destroy the 13th Amendment that says slavery is still legal if you commit a crime, and then put all the petty crimes on the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, therefore increasing and continuing slavery. And then have all the slaves make all the clothes for J.C. Penney's and Nordstrom and the food for all these grocery stores for minimal labor. Still slavery exists today. And so we want to know when are white people going to fess up for what they did? You said you're sorry. You said not sorry, but you're not happy about it. But at the end of the day, if I stole from you, your house, your goods, your clothes, your family, and all I had to say was sorry, does that make me a righteous person?
I don't think so.
It doesn't. So are you a righteous person?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure that myself still.
Okay, so at the end of the day, get that. Let's do this. Let's get this scripture, and then we'll segue.
This is 2 Thessalonians, chapter 1, verse 6. Seeing it is the righteous thing with God,
Right.
Righteous thing with the Most High. Go ahead.
to recompense tribulation,
To recompense tribulation. So, meaning to pay back people tribulation and persecution. Go ahead.
to them that trouble you.
To those that trouble us. So when you talk about the nation of Israel, it's the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans according to history, archaeology, and prophecy. So we're out here prophesying the downfall of America.
Right.
Because it's
Right.
Babylon. How you feel about America? How you feel about this democracy?
Well, from when I was a kid, I remember saying the Pledge of Allegiance, saying one nation under God, republic which we stand. To me,
What is it called? With what? Injustice for all? With liberty and justice for all.
Sure.
So even with your Pledge of Allegiance, do you think the word all really means all when it says liberty and justice for all?
I guess not for now, probably did now. I don't know anymore.
It didn't then and it doesn't now.
God.
Because
Right.
how can it be liberty and justice for all when we're still 3/5 of a human? When there's still the 13th Amendment? When we don't see any benefit of the Pledge of Allegiance to the black, Hispanic, and Native American man? So it can't be liberty and justice for all. It has to be liberty and justice for the white man, for the Asian man, for the East Indian man, for the Arabic man. Everybody except for God's chosen people. You know why? Because this ain't our heaven.
Right.
This ain't our rest.
Right.
See that in Micah 2:10. This is not our rest.
Bring it out.
This is your heaven. Give me Lamentations 4:21.
God.
This is the heaven for the so-called white man.
I don't find this to be heavy though.
Well, that's on you. You're forfeiting. You're forfeiting because you guys were, the Most High made it to where you guys can have your own kingdom. Just like the Egyptians had their own kingdom. The Babylonians had their own kingdom. The Persians had their own kingdom. The Greeks had their own kingdom. The Romans had their own kingdom. Now you guys have a chance to have your own kingdom, and you're choosing to forfeit and be a two-time loser, because if you lose in this time, you're definitely going to lose in the kingdom of heaven, because the Israelites are going to be on top, and that's when you're going to have to get paid back for what you guys did.
Right.
You should take advantage and rejoice like the Bible says. Matter of fact, bring that out first.
God. This is the book of Lamentations, chapter 4, verse 21.
Bring it out.
Rejoice.
The Bible is saying rejoice. You should be happy, and you should take
I'm not
full
saying I'm happy,
advantage
I'm happy.
of your kingdom. You should take full advantage of your kingdom. You're not happy, but what?
I'm not happy here. I'm happy where I'm at now, in the middle of the woods, straight down the street, with my crew.
Okay.
It's not in the city.
Okay. So you're what's they call a country boy. What part of Texas you from?
My family's from Huddle in Thorndale.
What is that, by Dallas or that by Houston?
That's East Texas.
East Texas. Okay. East Texas.
He's a man of the field.
You're are you a hunter?
Are you there when I go out hunting with my friends?
You gotta know what it is. Esau, man. Have you heard of Esau in the Bible?
I have heard of it.
Yeah, so did you know that he's the progenitor of the so-called white race? Yeah, because he came out red. The Bible says he came out red like a hairy garment. So when you look at the pigment and skin color of a Caucasian, is it more compared to white or is it more compared to red?
Second?
Is your skin pigmentation compared to
it's
this
white.
white or red?
Oh, what?
So you telling me you're closer to the stripes on your shirt? What part of your shirt are you closer to?
Well, I mean,
The
I guess
red
red
and
now-
skillet?
Now that I look at it now,
Man, he realized who he is, man.
So that's how we know for starters, who Esau is today, it says he came out red. He was the first one of your guys' pigmentation. And then you go into the prophecies of what Esau will be doing, the blessings that God will give him. That's how we know everybody have a biblical nationality. So that's how we know who the so-called Caucasians go back to according to the Bible.
Right.
That's how we know who we are. Through prophecy and through signs. Right? So bring that out. Go ahead.
Book of Lamentations 4:21. Rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom.
The Bible says, rejoice and be glad, you Edomites, right? They walk around here in the city with their flip-flops on and their Docker shorts, and they're just loving it. They're just living it up, man. They're getting drunk at the third hour of the day.
Right.
They don't have a damn worry or a care. Why? Because the Bible says they're living it up and they're rejoicing, and they should, because there's going to come a time where the roles are going to be reversed. Give me Deuteronomy chapter 30. Go ahead.
God, that dwelleth in the land of Uz. The cup also.
This cup, there's going to be a cup of judgment that you guys gave us that you're going to have to take yourself. Go ahead.
This cup also shall pass through unto thee. Thou shalt be drunken and shalt make thyself naked.
It means to be made naked, not literally, man. You're going to be exposed. You're going to be put in the naive, docile state that we were in when we were conquered and took down by you guys. Is that it on that? Okay. And then after that, verse 22.
Verse 22. The punishment of thine iniquity is accomplished, O daughter of Zion.
So the Bible is saying the white man is going to be the last person to have us in slavery.
Right.
That's the last captivity. So this is it for us.
Right.
That's why it says our slavery is accomplished with this captivity. Go ahead.
He will no more carry thee away into captivity.
So we're not going into captivity again. There's a lot of white people who come up here and say, well, I know the Bible says that, but we're going to break out of it after a certain amount of time and take you guys back down again. But the Bible says, read that again.
The punishment of thy iniquity is accomplished, O daughter of Zion. He will no more.
He will no more, go ahead,
carry thee away into captivity.
So we ain't going to go into captivity again. Read.
He will visit thy iniquity, O daughter of Edom.
He will visit your iniquity now. Go ahead.
He will discover thy sins.
Because you guys committed a lot of sins.
Right.
But stealing, the Bible says you're not supposed to remove a man's plot. A man's plot is his lot of land. You're not supposed to remove his land and take his land. Right? A plot is a landmark. You're not supposed to keep them in captivity against their will. You're supposed to let them go after 6 years. Even the white man knew that with the whole indentured servant.
The Irish indentured servant.
They knew that with the Irish indentured servant contract. They put 7 years because after the 6th year, it's supposed to be the year of Jubilee, you let them free. So even the white man knew that concept of the Bible, but they went against it when it was applied to us. Because they looked at us as less than nothing, and we're the kings and princes and princesses of the earth.
That's right.
So
the Irish were treated like the redheaded stepchild, right? Yeah. Just get paid.
You know, you got that star, right? That star on your keychain. Yeah. That I find that funny because Irish were some of the first slave captures. Right. What are they called? Slave patrol. Slave patrol. The Irish were put in position to be the ones that captured the slaves, the runaway slaves. And that was the symbol they used. Then they went on to become the sheriffs or the deputy or the chief of police. So I find it very spiritual that you call yourself Irish and you're wearing a badge and symbol of your forefathers who were put in position and in authority to catch a runaway slave and to bring them back or kill them, hang them, whatever they wanted to do. And so the Irish are a lot to blame for furthering the affliction. Give me Zechariah chapter 1. Bring out Deuteronomy 30 and...
I'll be over by 7.
Zechariah.
Okay, verse 1. So in the kingdom of heaven, all the curses that are on us are going to go on all the other nations. Right. All right, go ahead.
Deuteronomy chapter 30 verse 1. And it shall come to pass, when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse, which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all nations. whither the Lord thy God hath driven thee.
So wherever we're at, we're going to call to mind the blessings and the curses. Go ahead.
And shall return unto the Lord thy God, and shall obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children, with all thy heart and with all thy soul. That then the Lord thy God will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations, whither the Lord thy God hath scattered thee. If any of thine be driven out unto the outmost part of heaven, from thence will the Lord thy God gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee. And the Lord thy God will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possessed.
You got a question, man?
Yeah, what do you guys mean by this one?
Well, first let me ask you this: Are you a spiritual man
I am.
or a religious
Yes, sir.
man?
Yeah.
What do you believe in?
I'm a religious man.
What do you believe in?
I'm a Christian.
You're a Christian.
Presbyterian.
A Presbyterian. Okay, what does the word Presbyterios mean?
Well, what does it mean to you?
They don't know. Okay, you know they don't know. Presbyterios mean elder. So are you saying you're an elder?
My church is run by elders, yes.
Run by elders. Okay. So you're a religious man. Are you a man that's for America? Are you for the American dream?
I sure am, yeah.
Are you proud of your country?
Yep.
Okay, now what's your ethnicity?
I'm obviously white.
White is a color.
Hey, stop filming me.
White is a, don't film him. White is a color, not an ethnicity. White is a color, not an ethnicity. Are you like Norwegian, German? You look like an
No,
ex-Nazi.
I'm not German.
What are you then?
I don't know.
You don't know. Now you see, you're a Christian, but now you're lying.
How am I a Christian but lying?
You don't know what your ethnicity is.
I know that I was born and raised in this country.
What's your father? Norwegian.
My father was American. He was born and raised in this
What
country
does American?
as well.
What does American mean?
What does it mean?
Yeah.
It means all of this. Whatever you guys are doing right now, that's America. Because
No, that's not
hey,
American.
hold on. Because in another country, you do this and you get fucking killed.
We got
You
people
get
in other
fucking
countries.
burned. You get
We got
fucking.
people in other countries that do this.
No, other countries you do this.
No,
Hey
that's
guys,
not
guys, I have
I've
been to other
locked up
countries.
for doing this here.
Guys, I have seen
I've been
other
locked
countries.
up for doing this here in America.
Guys, I have seen other countries where you're not just locked up, you're burned alive in a fucking cage.
Well, they threw me in jail for doing this here. So why should I
Guys,
leave?
this
Why
is-
should I leave?
This is absolutely what I stand for. Like,
You don't stand for it. Why didn't I see you at the Mike Brown protest? Why didn't I see you at the Philando Castro protest? Right! Right! No, you're good, man. All right, brother. You Anyway, this devil talking about he stands for. He doesn't know what Presbyterian means. He don't know what America means.
All right, bring it out.
He don't know what he stand for. He don't know what we stand for. And he's a drunk, false Christian liar. All right, he can barely stand. He talking about he stands for something he can barely stand. Looking like Ricky Hatton.
Bring that out.
All right, good.